Wow, wow, wow. Hi, everyone. How we doing?
Wow.
All righty. Well, what do we think of Soulframe earlier, huh? Looking pretty good. I love it. Well, welcome to this year's Sounds of the System panel. We have lots of fun behind the scenes and some reveals to get into today. But before we get into all that, I would love to introduce our lovely panelists. Composer, lead vocalist, and now conductor of TennoConcert, please welcome back to the stage, Matthew Chalmers.
Hey, everybody.
On his right, the auditory auteur himself, please also welcome back Associate Audio Director for Warframe, Erich Preston.
What's up, TennoCon? Hey, everybody. Wow, you guys look great. Oh, my God.
Now, you've seen his work before, but for the first time on stage, please welcome sound designer Giovane Agapito.
Hey, everyone.
Also a newcomer to the stage, but a master in the booth nonetheless. Please welcome to the stage, Jeff Folks.
Hi, everybody.
A TennoCon 2024 alumni to the stage and a true craftsman. Please welcome back sound designer Mark Perquin.
Hi, everyone.
And last, but certainly not least, you know her as the voice as Marie Leroux in the old piece. Please welcome to the stage, Elsa Pérusin.
Bonjour, ça va?
My name is Mckone. I'm a senior community manager on Warframe, and I have the honor of talking to all of these lovely folks here today. So thank you all for being here. All right. Why waste any time? Let's chat the old piece. Matt, this update was very cinematic, and so the music had to match. Would you tell us a bit about that process? What was the first step in the journey of creating such a fantastic score?
Yeah, I think the first step was a phone call from Erich where he was like, I think this is the one where we do orchestra. And I was like, yes, finally. And so yeah, then it was just about like finding the right influences and figuring out how big of an orchestra and when do we record this, how much music, and all the details that go into that. But yeah, that became a big sound of the old piece.
How many people were in the orchestra?
I think it was 44 in the end, yeah.
Wow, it sounded amazing.
Yeah, it was recorded over 2 days.
Yeah, we did a strings and winds session and then a brass session the next day. And yeah, and a lot of the musicians who played on the soundtrack played here last night at the concert.
That is so cool. Well, Matt, you also seem to be collecting jobs. How was it like conducting in front of a live audience last night?
It was cool, it was cool. I mean, very different from last year where I was the lead singer and, you know, pretending to be good at that. And instead I pretended to be good at conducting.
You were great, you were great.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
But you know, it's easier in some ways because I was facing this way, and so my field of view included no audience members until I turned around, and I was like, oh my God.
I love it. Erich, I want to ask you about nailing that emotion in sound when there isn't a lot to go off of in the early stages of development. Tell us a bit about what it's like as an audio director in the development.
Honestly, it's probably one of the funnest parts when you're right at the beginning of the project and there's no rules set yet. A lot of that process just involves looking at like early level designs and early concept art and putting up reference material to kind of see what sticks. And actually, for the old piece in particular, I remember there was one level that I loaded up, and it was kind of like a crater level, but it had this beautiful kind of ambiance and style to it. And that was the very first shot that I used to put some music up to and some sounds up to get a feel for how it was going to work and what's going to work and what doesn't work. So yeah, it's a great fun time at the beginning.
Honestly, it's so impressive. If you've seen some of the early videos, it's literally just squares, circles, and triangles. So it's extremely impressive to be able to bring out all that emotion in such early stages. Congrats, Erich. Now,
That's
it's not
great.
just quests, but missions too that require a huge amount of work and creative thought. Mark, you had first-hand experience with this when you were designing sounds for our newest bosses. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so working on the sentient giant from the last update was a really cool challenge. Typically with enemies, what we will do is have one bark vocal sound coming from them. And it's a compromise between hearing that enemy up close versus hearing them far away. And so with this giant, we thought, let's not compromise, let's have both. So we made some sounds that work while you're right up next to the giant, and then we layered in some echoey reverb, to give you that distance when you're far away, and then we mixed the two based on how close or far you are from the giant, because we really wanted you to feel like it was everywhere in the level, even if you weren't right up next to it. But when you are right up next to it, you're like, oh my gosh, it's right there.
I love it. It's my favorite boss out of the three. And you actually made a video showcasing your behind-the-scenes work. So let's take a look.
Here's a quick look at making Hunhollis' screams as big as they are. Here's how this would sound through a typical chain and engine. We have a random sample selected, played with a number of parameters. It sounds decent from up close, but we lose some volume from far away. So let's get rid of our spatialization node and play this without any spatial info. You'll hear from a short distance we lose our panning, and from further out it sounds the same. So let's try layering two sounds. This is our new reverb-heavy layer that will work well from far away. That's going to be better, but now we've got a mismatch, so we're going to overcomplicate things with this setup, which will always play the same spatialized and non-spatialized pairing. Now we've got punchy screams from Hunhollis up close, luscious reverb when we're far away, and it's just right in the thick of it.
Wow. Give it up for Mark. Now, Jeff, you also worked on another set of bosses this update, the Prime Vanguard. What's the challenge of designing such a chaotic fight into our harmonious mix?
Yeah, that's right. The Prime Vanguard, there's so much going on, so it's trying to make the chaos readable. If there's multiple Warframes fighting you at the same time and their abilities are overlapping, there's projectiles and effects all on the screen, so to try to make that somewhat cohesion was the goal. We kind of did that by thinking about carving out space in the mix for the important things. So whether that was like a big impact ability or an ultimate or a projectile that you needed to know to move out of the way so that way you didn't get hurt kind of thing.
I love it.
Yeah, another thing we did too, because they were boss versions of the Warframes we all know and love, we wanted to kind of punch up their abilities a little bit and give it some more oomph. So you might not hear it, but sometimes there's a kick drum sample there to give it that extra little punch, and you'll feel it when the ability happens.
That is really cool. You nailed it. It's such a good fight.
Thank you.
Next question, I want to ask the entire panel of sound designers. We jump from a battlefield to an ambient space station to a giant space egg. What was your favorite sound when you got to design for the old piece? Matt, you want to start us off for sound or for music?
For music? Favorite piece from the old piece would probably be Roses from the Abyss or Ironclad. Those two were fun. I see Nelda like, yeah.
Erich?
Mine is more of a music thing too, and not so much a sound thing, but it's the transition into Uriel when the beginning of Roses from the Abyss happened. Kind of a funny story about that piece was we had written the combat piece for the second part of that action sequence, and then we needed a little bit of a transition there, and that transition is just a really nice, happy accident that came from putting the music up randomly and having the choir stem soloed, and then, oh, what happens if I kind of unmute the drums here. What happens if I unmute the guitars at this part? And yeah, it just came together to be a really cool scene with some additional sound design from Paul from the sound team.
Wow. Giovane?
My favorite sounds probably are the ones that I made for the somatic barriers, for the somatic barrier memorial. It was a really good challenge because the approach would be different this time, like less sci-fi, more organic, because as you know, like before each major combat, you can receive a buff from other players. So because of that, the organic vibe, it has to be like, ideally speaking, it had to be really strong because you are like receiving energy from the ground, basically. So it was a big challenge to make it less sci-fi, more organic, more like sentimental in a way. And yeah, I love it. My favorite sound so far, for sure.
Very cool. And Jeff?
Yeah, I think we had a day when we were designing where we all got together in the booth and we did some army yells and cries and chants, the Tanta Viha. And that was a really fun day, and the noises turned out cool.
We all lost our voice together.
We cried a lot.
And Mark?
I think besides the sentient giant, for me from the last update would be the search drones that you try and avoid when you first start the quest. I've been listening to a lot of the music, and there's a track that Matt had written called Deepest Dark that has a French horn trill, and I kind of tried to mimic that in the alarms from the drones when they spot you. And it's kind of like, in my interpretation, nods back to like a World War I kind of air horn. I put it in, and it worked, and it sounded good to me, and that's the best.
Wow, that is super cool. And Elsa, do you have a favorite line of Marie?
Yes. My favorite line would be to Roth when one of you is dating him and Mary's is not able to understand the attraction. And so she goes, "Is it the tail? It has to be the tail." I knew it was the tail.
I love it. Well, let's talk about the amazing cast of characters that we had in this update. Elsa, you were incredible as Marie, and honestly, another round of applause for her amazing performance in the old piece. Now, as Marie, you are a soul worshiper sent to monitor the devil Roth. You even help us to get to know Leon better. A lot to take in on the first read. Did Marie grow on you as you read for her? Tell us about that process of recording for Warframe.
Yes, it's been an incredible journey voicing Mary, and we've had several work sessions throughout months, yes, and since I had never played the game before, the D team had to guide me through everything, the situations, the relationships, the lore, basically, and as you may have noticed, it is quite something. And the more we worked together, the more I understood and loved Mary very much. I mean, her loyalty, her kindness, the French outburst every time she gets emotional. Her cleanliness, she might probably iron her prayer books. And well, the fun point is that session after session, she's starting resembling me a little also, because I'm sure you already know Kat Kingsley, who is an amazing writer, and And as she got to know me, she started writing a little bit for me too, adding touches of humor sometimes, which I love. And I mean, how cool is that?
That is really, really, really cool. Well done, Elsa, well done. Now, Erich, you're in the editing room when you receive these voice recordings. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a treat to get to receive all these incredible voice actors' files in the emails, basically. But it's nice to be able to work in an audio environment with sound effects and music, and then once that final piece comes through of the dialogue, it's incredible how much it really brings it to life. And this was no different. I mean, when we put the audio in engine, there's a long time where we're balancing how often voices play, and that's a great process where we really get to kind of learn what the characters are all about. And yeah, I mean, it's a treat for us to work with amazing voices like yourself.
That's super cool. So that means quest, missions, and also romance, as we've seen in the latest update. I bet you many people in this room are dating Marie in-game. Actually, let's hear it. Who is dating Marie?
So everyone.
Is there anything you would like to say to these people?
Yes, it made me a little bit sad. I'm a little bit sorry for all the Hex members that are not X's members.
I love it. Thanks, Elsa. Now, you were also joined by the wonderful Elliot Cloud as Adis and Mike Weston as Master Itsam. Erich, these are two characters that require a lot of processing effects after they do their raw recording. Tell us about going from that raw performance to what we hear in-game.
Yeah, so there's always a little bit of exploration that needs to happen to try and find what the correct processing is. For these two characters, it was a combination of a comb filter, which actually removes a lot of frequencies from the audio itself, and then taking another track on top of that and pitching it down just slightly, so you get this kind of interesting phasing that happens between the two. And I tried some processing that was a little bit more extreme, but I found that having a good balance of a little bit of sci-fi and still hearing the essence of the voice come through was the right balance for these characters.
Well, we actually have a short clip to demonstrate that process. Let's take a listen.
Lestratus, they lead. They know orders from Galastra. Make them tell. Lestratus, they lead. They know orders from Galastra. Make them tell.
When the applications of Tauron are applied to Neramon's theories, what is the expected outcome? When the applications of Tauron are applied to Neramon's theories, what is the expected outcome?
Fascinating. Well done. Now, regrettably, we are going to move on from the old piece, so please, one more round of applause for the amazing sound team here and all the sound team at DE. All right, let's go on a little journey, shall we, to worlds previously unknown, starting with the wonderful Valis Undermined. A wacky, weird world we had with this one. Who knew what was lurking underneath Fortuna was some cheeked up mushrooms? Now, Jeff, I want to start with you, as you had a huge hand in creating the sounds for Noco. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, Noco was my first frame to design, so it was really fun to be working on a guy with so much personality. Thank you. In the early days, Erich and I had chats about how to really make Noco come alive and how to embrace the mushroom fungal elements and making him kind of mischievous and playful, but never too silly that he couldn't fit in with the other frames. So that was a fine line to try to follow. A lot of his signature sounds kind of came after we started recording source material. So we used a lot of vegetables, dry leaves, any wooden or organic instruments or percussion items, rainmaker, shakers, and stuff like that. And once we kind of had a feel for that, it became almost a signature sound in each of the abilities.
That is so cool. It sounds like a ton of fun, and you actually have a video showcasing behind the scenes. Let's take a look.
Hi everyone, my name's Jeff, and I'm going to take you on a little behind-the-scenes take of Noco.
One of the biggest design challenges was balancing his character. Noco is playful. He has this whimsical trickster energy that makes him feel alive and unpredictable. But at the same time, he's still a Warframe. As players level him up, mod him, and take him into tougher content, his abilities still need to feel impactful and powerful. So every sound had to walk that line. Lighthearted enough to sell his personality, but never so silly that it took away from the gameplay. To build that identity, we wanted to stay as close to nature as possible. A lot of Noco's signature is actually simple Foley recordings. We experimented with things like a rainmaker, wooden shakers, branches, plants, anything that gave us those earthy, natural textures. This rainmaker became one of my favorite source recordings. It has this soft, cascading texture that immediately reminded me of spores drifting through the air. Wooden shakers gave us a natural rhythmic movement that felt alive without sounding mechanical. And then there were all kinds of natural items like bark, branches, dried plants, leaves. Noco also has a little vocal personality. Believe it or not, that's actually my own voice. I recorded a bunch of playful quips, coughs, squeaks, little vocal performances, then manipulated them by pitching and layering them until they became something that felt less human and more like this curious little fungal creature. It's amazing how much personality can come from something as simple as a voice recording once you start transforming it. Once everything was recorded, the real fun started. Each of Noco's abilities is built from several layers, with every layer serving a different purpose. First is the organic layer. This is where all those natural recordings live, giving the sound its earthy, fungal identity. Then we add our magical layer, which brings in that mysterious fantasy element that helps sell the spores and fungal energy. Next comes the impact layer, adding that punch and weight needed to make the abilities feel satisfying during combat. And finally, Noco's voice. This layer gives him that little bit of personality and reinforces that playful, mischievous spirit. But it's only when all of these pieces come together that Noco really starts to feel alive. And that's a little look behind the scenes of how we brought Noco to life.
Thanks so much for watching. Have a great TennoCon.
Wow. Well done, well done. Now, Matt, you also got to have some fun with this update. With beautiful harmonies and synth arpeggios, we get a very new sound to Warframe. Tell us about that process.
Yeah, there was a lot of new instruments on this one. The first instrument me and Erich talked about was the CS80, which is like a classic 80s synthesizer, which I couldn't afford, so I got something similar to it. But then we wanted some of that organic influence, and I thought of African music, which I've done a bit of studying in my past, and I've always wanted to get an mbira, which is basically like a thumb piano. And so I found a maker in Zimbabwe on Etsy, and I bought a couple of them. And then that became sort of like this, and they're tuned slightly differently. They're not like Western harmonies, so the way they split up the octave is just slightly different, so it gives like some weird, microtones. And then the vocals ended up, I used auto-tune on them. So they sort of had like this really locked-in pitch, and then all the interesting melodies around them were sort of like all, it had the analog synth detuned kind of sound along with the mbiras. So yeah, that was kind of the sonic palette.
Amazing. It's a beautiful soundtrack for an underground world. Congrats, Matt. And Erich, I gotta know, who makes those little mushroom sounds? They're too cute.
He's in here somewhere. Paul, I'm looking at you, buddy. One of the sound designers, when we were kind of creating the little creature, Paul went off into his studio and came back with the most adorable little noises for this guy. And I don't think we really changed much after hearing it for the first time. It's like, yep, that's Noco. Let's go.
Noco.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. Well, not long after, we traveled to another unique, inky, scary world, the Shadowgrapher, of course. Now, Giovane, I have to give you your flowers. With $19.99, you lent your talents to the tech rot enemies, so blobby, ink-covered enemies seems like a natural progression for you. Tell us about how you brought the inhabitants of Vesper Relay to life.
Oh man, this was amazing, yeah. Like, I think, as Jeff said, like, we were naturally recording a bunch of sounds, so it was very organic. So when we were discussing the sounds, the approach for the Shadowgrapher update, it just felt natural to continue this approach as the enemies were covered in ink, basically. So we recorded a bunch of voice, basically, like all kind of stuff. Of course, me and Chris Teixeira, my partner in crime in this update. And we recorded a bunch of like voices. We were kind of simulating like crying, screaming. We used a bunch of different devices like a telephone that we turned it into a mic and tape recorders. And for the Values Undermined, we recorded a bunch of vegetables. So we had this source material already. So as all the Shadowgrapher textures, they were kind of gross in a way, we kind of used that as well. So we already had everything recorded. So it was kind of blend between me and Chris and Erich screaming and crying and making a bunch of weird sounds and weird vegetable sounds, basically. Pretty gross, if you ask me.
Well, let's see how you brought all of that together in a behind-the-scenes video.
Hey everyone, Giovane here. I'm going to show you how we recorded the enemy sounds in the Shadowgrapher.
When we started developing ideas for the update, it didn't take long to realize that we needed new sounds for the enemies. After all, they are now covered in ink, and the whole update has this weird and spooky vibe that we wanted to match. So Chris, my fellow sound designer, had this brilliant idea of converting an old telephone as a low-frequency microphone. After that, we got a vintage record player and connected the microphone to it, passing the signal through our modular synths. This is how it sounds right now. As you can see, there's two tracks. One is the telephone converted as a microphone, and the other one passed through the synths. Pretty weird if you ask me. After this recording session, I had plenty of material to work with, but I still felt the need for vocalizations. I really liked the idea of the enemies having baby sounds, so I decided to give it a try and recorded myself at home, acting like a big baby boy for a day. In the end, it turned out to be a strange little creature with a high-pitched voice, but I think it fits what we were looking for. Well, you'll be the judge. My neighbors probably thought something was wrong with me, but luckily no one called the cops. So this is processed sounds, but what about the raw files? Let's take a look. Okay, I know. You are tired of listening baby sounds. I get it. So now, after everything is processed, edited, and implemented in the game, this is the final result, finally. So that's it. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of the show. Bye.
Thank you. Wow. I would not let those babies near me at all. That's gross. Well done. Now, Mark, you also worked on this update with an interesting microphone. A binaural microphone, you said? What is that?
That's right. It is this.
Binaural reveal.
Any ASMR fans in the audience? That is so cool. Would you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, totally. So it is a stereo microphone that each input comes through one of these ears here. So the way we can pick up sound in space is using the shape of our ears and the distance that our ears are apart from each other. So what this microphone does essentially is simulates what human ears do, and if you record sounds through it and you move the microphone around, you get the sensation when you're listening back in headphones that the sound is kind of moving around you. So we did a lot of that for the Foley Enemy. We played some of the music box track. Erich and I in his office, we set up a 4-speaker setup and just kind of panned the music around those speakers with this microphone in the middle of them. And then when you're listening back, you really get the sensation that the music is kind of all around you in space. We did the same with some of the laughter, and some other people on the team did the same with some of the ambience that you hear throughout that level.
Gross, in the best way.
Super
Awesome.
gross,
Very
yeah.
cool, very cool. Thank you. I mean, Elsa, you mentioned Warframe's all a bit new to you. Is any of that helping at all? Or?
Actually, it gets me really excited. I love this.
Now, you've lended your voice talents to other games, shows, commercials, you name it. It's not just lines, but sound effects too, as we've seen. What is it about video game voice acting that is so different from other media?
Yeah, you're right. It's never just lines. But it's always a game, I think. You know, like kids playing at pretending to be someone extraordinary, then actors playing at being someone extraordinary. I think no matter the discipline, I always try to come back to this joy of playing. And doing voice work for video games is an incredible game of imagination. Because at the very, very, very start, all you get is a few words of description, maybe a sketch of the character, some references, and that's it. And from there, you have to build this entire new voice. My references were for Mary, of course, were Marion Cotillard in Inception meets Joan of Arc. Yeah, an Oscar winner and a literal saint, yes. And I was like, I hope I'm good at what I do. And thank you. Thank you very much. And so, yeah, so that's it at the very beginning. So from there, every single line, you have to imagine the movement, the situation, the difference between what's being said and what's being thought, which is never the same, and that's why it's interesting. And also in video games, of course, you have the battle cries, the running, the hits. So you already all know that it's physically demanding video games, but also I think technically, because nowadays cinematics are gorgeous. They are basically films. So you have to act like if you were in a movie to do them justice, because when it's done right, it's beautiful, and you guys can tell.
Wow, thank you, Elsa. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Speaking of different, Matt, we gotta talk about Drip. What a fantastic song, and shout out to Francesca, our lovely vocalist, who you heard last night at the concert. But what inspirations did you have when working on the theme for this song?
Well, we basically wanted to just make like a pop horror track. So just I was looking at a bunch of pop tracks and a bunch of like horror movie scores and seeing like, okay, what would be a cool way to approach this? And yeah, I think we have a little clip, right?
We are gonna play a little clip to showcase this amazing song. Let's take a listen.
Let's go play peekaboo. Something I've grown into. Look at the blood, look at the ink. Watching it drip, coming up empty. Feels like a shove in a hip. I better know your whole soul is in the grip. Look at the blood, look at the ink. Watching it drip. What can I do? What can I say? I'm having fun, running on empty. Even after jumping the gun. Looking away, 'cause I'm the one for you.
Ooh, so good. Love it. And last, but certainly not least of the new worlds to explore, Jade Shadows Constellations. Now we know it's new, we won't spoil too much, but Erich, Matt, I know you were both in the room with that choir for Jade Shadows 1. What was it like to bring it back bigger and better?
I mean, it's always great working with live musicians, and again, similar thing to the orchestra. A lot of the choir members from last night were the vocalists in Jade Shadows Constellations, and they're just amazing. Yeah, I give it up for them. And yeah, it's always great to work with live musicians. You know, you picture what it will sound like, but then when there's 12 unique voices singing it, and it's not just me layering it a bunch or me and Fran layering it a bunch, it turns into something different. You know, it becomes a more collective thing. And you also record the sound of the room that they're in, and it's all happening live rather than multi-tracking. So it brings like a humanity to it, which I think was very important in the first Jade Shadows, and that sort of became the standard for anything Jade Shadows.
And it's so beautiful, it works so well in the quest. Nice work. Speaking of the quest, Erich, I want to quickly mention a fun little project, the first cooking mini game in Warframe. I believe one of the sound team members had something to do with that.
Yeah, Laura Dickens is the sound designer who did all the work on that, so shout out to Laura. Yeah, it was a privilege to see that come together. I mean, I remember one of our early meetings was like, how far do we go with the amount of cooking sounds that we create here? And it was like, let's just go, let's go all the way. So yeah, she cooked.
Amazing. Also, I want to quickly shout out, we've had some interesting deluxe skins over the years, including Gauss and Grendel Deluxe, if anyone's a fan here. We saw them at the cosplay. And with these skins, we did something different, including adding the track Redline to Gauss's ability, and also doing a lot of sound work for Grendel's abilities with the deluxe skin. Erich, I want to quickly chat about your process of that.
Yeah, so that was a fun one. Grendel is very close to my heart. I did the sounds for the OG Grendel way back when. By the way, the uwu is not intentional. You've heard it here first. Those sounds were all created using like throat singing as the main character layer. So when we went to update Grendel for the deluxe skin, it was kind of a fun challenge. The first version of it that I did was horrible. I was like, okay, let's just do some subtle glitching of the original sounds and see what we get. And yeah, it was not good. So ended up kind of rebuilding all of the sounds from scratch using bespoke mechanical layers, recording some synthesizers to replace the uwu with a more synthesizer-based uwu, and just collecting lots of really cool pieces. So yeah, all those sounds are basically like built from the ground up for that skin.
It sounds amazing. Well done, Erich. Well done. Now we are nearing the end of the panel, and I'm so glad we had a chance to talk about just an ounce of the craftsmanship that everyone here pours into the work. But that's in the past. Let's talk about the future, shall we? Yeah? First off, maybe you've heard of this band before. Is anyone here an online fan? Well, you'll love this, because coming in a future Nightwave update, the newest, oldest online signal running late. Now, as much as I wish we could show you a little teaser, you'll just have to wait to hear it. Tune into the, I'm sorry. Tune into the narrative panel, though, to learn a little bit more about this Nightwave update. Okay, this whole panel, there's been an elephant in the room. I'm sorry, guys, I have to say the word Tau. Now, I know we can't say much, but is there anything we can say about Tau today?
There's nothing really that we can share. Nothing. Oh, hold on. What? There might be one thing we can share. Someone's joining the cast of
Someone
characters.
is joining the Warframe cast. Should we hear for the man himself? Let's take a listen.
Hello, TennoCon. I don't believe we've met. Although I have a feeling you're going to know a lot more about me very soon. So, happy TennoCon, everybody.
Yes, that is right. Matthew Mercer is joining the Warframe cast next. You're going to want to tune in to Tenno Live to learn who he plays. Okay.
I'm stoked.
That was awesome. Now, as you know, every year in the sound panel, we try to incorporate you guys, the players, into the next sound for Warframe. Now, we have a little idea, and let's just say where we're heading has some interesting weather. So we're gonna create some rain today with your help. Erich here has got a microphone to record you, and all you have to do is follow my instructions. So listen first, and then we'll do it. We're gonna start by rubbing our hands together. This will make our wind. Then we're gonna do some light snapping. This will be our light rain. Then we're gonna start smacking our legs with our open palms. This will be our heavy rain. Follow my hand from left to right and start. We're gonna do wind, snaps, slaps, and then in reverse. Slaps, rub hands, and then some wind. Make sense? All right, on the left side of the room, start rubbing your hands now. And then we'll do some light snaps. And then we'll do some slaps. And then we'll do some snaps. Did we get it, Erich? Amazing. Hey, thank you. Well done, everyone. Well, that does bring us to time. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, panelists, for your amazing answers today, and the whole sound team at DE. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you. Thanks.